大家都听说了吗？前段时间啊，一个婚礼的现场，这儿媳妇给公公敬茶。
Family and friends, have you heard about this? Some time ago, at the scene of a wedding, the daughter-in-law was serving tea to her father-in-law. When it came time to change how she addressed him, she said, "Uncle, please drink tea." The father-in-law's smiling face immediately turned unhappy upon hearing this. At that moment, the wedding host quickly stepped in to smooth things over, saying, "The bride must have called you uncle because you haven't given her a red envelope yet. The father-in-law mustn't be stingy." The father-in-law suddenly understood, and at once he pulled out a red envelope from his pocket and happily handed it to the bride. The bride took it, touched it, and realized it was very thin, probably only a few thousand yuan, approximately equals several hundred USD. So right there, in front of all the guests, she said, "In our family, there's a rule. The red envelope for changing how we address must be exactly 66,666 yuan, approximately equals 9,200 USD. If it's less, I will not change how I address you." The scene at that moment truly as awkward as it could be. The groom's expression was especially ugly. Even the wedding host didn't know how to fix the situation. All the guests froze. The entire wedding fell into dead silence. It stayed quiet for more than 10 minutes. Then, the father-in-law slowly stood up. Unhurriedly, he walked over to the host, took the microphone, and addressed all the relatives and friends in the audience. "I am very sorry. Today's wedding is cancelled, but the banquet will still go on. Consider it our family inviting you all for a meal. Later, I will return all the red envelopes and gifts to every guest. Everyone, please eat well, drink well. Thank you all." The bride was stunned, standing on stage completely at a loss. Family and friends, if this were you, would you support the father-in-law's decision?
16岁寒门出身的学霸小姐姐第一次相亲，听到对方也
A 16-year-old girl, born into a poor family but a top student, went on her very first blind date. When she heard the young man was also from a small city, an ordinary office worker, with an annual income of only 300,000 yuan, approximately equals 41,000 USD, her face immediately dropped. The matchmaker asked gently, "Dear, what's your approximate annual income?" The young man replied honestly, "Because I work in finance, nearly half my income is commission-based. Averaging it out, my annual income is a little over 300,000 yuan, approximately equals 41,000 USD. Although he quickly forced a smile to cover the awkwardness, her cold reaction had already deeply hurt him. When the matchmaker introduced her to another candidate, a wealthy and handsome businessman, her eyes instantly lit up with admiration. This girl's name was Shichen. She was born in a small county in Anhui province. Through sheer perseverance, she managed to study all the way to Hong Kong, where she now works as a financial consultant. Having long been surrounded by luxury and the wealthy elite, she also dreamed of one day marrying into that world. She wanted to find a man with a car, a house, and an annual income of at least 1 million yuan, approximately equals 140,000 USD. That way, not only could he support her career, but also quickly raise her social standing and help her enter the prestigious upper-class circles. Her straightforwardness even shocked the matchmaker. When asked if she worried that being so goal-oriented would make it difficult to find true love, she dismissed it, criticizing the matchmaker as too old-fashioned. Seeing Shichen determined to find a wealthy suitor, the matchmaker arranged a meeting with Xiaozhe, a 6-year-old who had studied abroad, stood 187 centimeters tall, and was already running his own business with an annual income exceeding 1 million yuan, approximately equals 140,000 USD. From the moment they met, Shichen was captivated by his extraordinary demeanor. Hearing that he played golf and practiced archery, she immediately thought, "This is no ordinary man." To impress him, Shichen began sharing her own experiences traveling abroad. But to her dismay, the things she thought were impressive turned out to be just Xiaozhe's daily life from years ago. He casually mentioned, "I spent about 7 years living in Australia." She quickly added, "Oh, I once traveled across Australia for half a month." To Xiaozhe, it was nothing special, but to her, it confirmed he was indeed from a wealthy background. So she eagerly asked about his family situation. Xiaozhe froze for a moment, then humbly said his family was only middle class and that his current achievements came from his own hard work. But in Shichen's eyes, he was the perfect golden turtle son-in-law. She pressed further, asking about his parents. Xiaozhe replied, My mother runs a wine business. My father works at a public institution. To Shichen, this only confirmed her hopes. But her eager probing made Xiaozhe uncomfortable. Still lost in her fantasy, Shichen openly declared, "My goal is to achieve financial freedom before I turn 30. Ideally, I'll find a husband so I can retire early." This startled Xiaozhe. Her purpose-driven approach made him cautious, so he firmly stated that in his future marriage, like his parents, husband and wife would not interfere with each other's careers. This shattered Shichen's illusions. Still, she was convinced Xiaozhe had feelings for her, confidently saying, "I think he still likes me, right?" Ha ha ha. The failure of this matchmaking left Shichen devastated. As the saying goes, a good match requires families of equal standing. To comfort her, the matchmaker introduced another candidate, Xiao Wang, a 31-year-old company manager, also from a county town. Their conversation was relaxed and natural. Xiao Wang's humble and modest demeanor quickly won her over. She even began to flirt, saying, "In big cities, it's harder to meet people." He smiled and replied, "But now you've met me." Everyone thought this would lead to something good. But when Shichen learned his annual income was only 300,000 yuan, approximately equals 41,000 USD, she immediately lost interest. She judged that his job had little room for growth, so she ended the date. In the end, both matchmaking sessions ended in failure. People wondered, between love and bread, which should one choose? Whether one uses bread, money, to secure love, or uses love as bread, what truly matters is to be content and live with gratitude. So, where will Shichen's search for love take her next?
现在找对象为什么这么难？因为以前找对象你光问一句你是不是单身就行了，现在找对象
Why is it so difficult to find a partner nowadays? In the past, when looking for someone, all you needed to ask was, "Are you single?" Now, when looking for a partner, you have to add, "Are you sure you've never been married, never divorced, and don't have children?" And even then, you still have to ask, "You're not still entangled with your ex, right? You don't have a vague, ambiguous relationship, right? You don't have those so-called just friends who are more than friends, right?" If the other person says, "No, none of that," at that point, you still have to keep asking, "Your credit record isn't blacklisted, right? Your medical reports are all fine, right? And most importantly of all, your interests and affections, are they normal?" Before we dive into all of this, let us know in the comments where you're watching this video from. Connecting with viewers across the world is a huge source of inspiration for us.
我是一个35、6岁的大龄剩女，前面30多年就
I am a 35, 36-year-old so-called leftover woman. For the first 30-plus years of my life, I didn't dare to step into marriage. I didn't dare to enter that stage. But in 2024, when I paused to reflect on everything, when I studied the development of many things in life, I realized something. It is very difficult for one person alone to walk far. Two people together, especially a good family, can allow someone to develop much better. On that basis, I started this account. I decided to step into the next stage of life, to begin screening for my future. Many people say the purpose of this account is just to gain traffic. That can also be said traffic is one part of it. Without traffic, where would I find people to screen from? What you see is only what you see. What you see may not necessarily be what I truly intend. Think about it. In real life, if I can meet 10 men, that is already a lot. But on Douyin, on the internet, I might be able to connect with 50 men in a single day, or even more. So the purpose of this account is to use big data filtering to reach the outcome I want. Of course, there will be complaints and criticism. Many people say I am calculating, but I am very clear and aware. I am choosing to step into the next stage of life. And in this stage, who will walk forward with me? That is the reason behind this account. I don't care what other people's reasons are for starting accounts. Some people may do it simply because the niche is popular, or because the topic is broad and attracts traffic, to capture other people's attention. But I am very clear about what I am doing. So, if you are also an older unmarried man, or an older unmarried woman, and you feel that in the future, you don't want to face life alone anymore, you also want to enter a family, you also want to find someone, then why not, like me, start sincerely to use short videos as your breakthrough point? Perhaps that person is already out there, waiting in the distance. Hey!
一个年薪40万的名校高材生，为什么
Why would a top graduate from a prestigious university with an annual salary of 400,000 yuan, about 55,000 USD, still be single well into his 30s? The reason lies in his so-called 5 steps. Every time he mentioned them, many girls immediately said they could not accept it. Today, the young man's mother also came to the matchmaking event. Let's listen together. How was such a high-quality older man raised? And what are their real thoughts? Auntie, why did you come so early? We haven't even started yet, you must have waited long. Oh, it wasn't long. It's just that with this matter, I feel restless and can't even sleep well. You know, he's already past 30. Past 30? He's just in his early 30s. Look at your son, such an excellent graduate, a technical director at his company. And you parents are both educated, working in stable government sectors. With such conditions, what's there to worry about? So what if he's excellent? He still can't find a wife. It's all because of those 5 rules he insists on. Let me explain them. First, anyone who cannot speak properly, who always talks harshly, is not acceptable. Wherever she goes, she offends people with her words, especially treating those closest to her the worst. But isn't that sometimes just a sharp tongue with a soft heart? Many girls these days are spoiled at home, so they speak directly. Being straightforward and having no manners are 2 very different things. Imagine this. You've spent all day exhausted taking care of kids, and the moment your husband comes home, he criticizes everything. This wasn't done, that wasn't done. Wouldn't you feel hurt? The same for men. After working hard all day, if the wife greets him with endless complaints, over time, who wouldn't feel worn down? Second, don't be the type who always competes with men. Don't always think raising children is only a mother's job, or that marriage is something the man alone owes, failing to realize that the family belongs to both. A good husband understands his wife's sacrifices, and a good wife understands her husband's struggles. Marriage should be the closest bond, not a constant contest of who works harder, or who the children love more. Third, families that demand unreasonable bride prices are not acceptable. It's fine to ask for a symbolic token of sincerity, but opening with sky-high demands, treating the groom's family like an ATM, that's absolutely unacceptable. Fourth, girls who live on overconsumption are not acceptable. For example, earning just 5,000, 6,000 yuan a month, about 700, 850 USD, but carrying bags worth tens of thousands, using makeup worth thousands. Too vain, too indulgent, living paycheck to paycheck with no savings, no resilience against risk. That kind of life collapses at the first setback. Fifth, people from families with very bad atmospheres are not acceptable. It's not about whether the family is rich or poor, but about whether they grew up in a loving, harmonious environment. Children from homes filled with constant fighting, with domineering parents, often grow up sensitive and insecure. On the other hand, even if parents divorce peacefully, as long as both still love their child, the child can still grow into a confident, healthy person. Family atmosphere matters deeply. So, to summarize, all they want is someone with the right values, from a harmonious background. When asked if there were any hidden demands, the mother added, well, she should at least have a bachelor's degree, a stable job, and be able to communicate sincerely. The problem is, many young people today are too self-centered, unwilling to genuinely communicate. That's why, every time the son explained his 5 rules, girls thought his standards were too high, and the mother admitted, it's partly their son's fault, being a straightforward, honest engineer. Instead of filtering quietly, he always earnestly lectures long lists of standards. What girl wouldn't get a headache hearing that? So, as parents, they too need to guide him properly. Some people, whether boys or girls, just mature late. Children are always a worry. After hearing all this, do you think this mother's reasoning is right or wrong?
是谁天还没亮都
Who is it that gets up before dawn to go do hard labor? It's him. And who is it that sleeps until naturally waking up every day? That's me. Today, I didn't film a getting up vlog. I left too early. I went out just past 5 o'clock. I was honestly dying of sleepiness. What really surprised me was that even though it wasn't yet daylight, the roads were already full of cars. It made me realize how fortunate I am to live a life where I can wake up naturally on the road. Today, I went to Xinxiang for filming. During the ride, I put on a little makeup. Self-media bloggers really have this skill. No matter the situation, we can always manage to do our makeup. After finishing, there was still more than an hour of travel. I opened my new earphones, closed my eyes, and listened to some songs. They're so small and convenient. The last pair I had was actually great, but the problem was, my younger brother kept watching my videos and ended up borrowing them permanently. Being an older sister is not easy. After arriving, I started filming. At first, the sun was out. It felt warm, but soon the wind slapped me in the face. This is what they mean by a rough draft of life. Compared to the polished version on social media, nobody would know that while shooting, I nearly slipped and fell. And of course, I did it again for the shot, laughing at myself. The price? I almost caught a cold from the freezing weather. It snowed in Zhengzhou, really snowed. Just the day before, I was still saying, a winter without snow was meaningless. Snow in front of a hotel really is the definition of romance. And today, finally, it snowed. Unfortunately, it only lasted a short while. Not enough time to go out and enjoy it. I found some time to play ball. Later, past midnight, I summed up the day. Let's just say, if I'm not fat, then who is? After playing ball, I was starving. Fried dough sticks with shrimp paste. This is the true essence of life. Life is short. Indulge while you can. This truly suits my spirit perfectly.
今天中午的时候安排了一对单身男女去相亲，差点我跟你讲都气得我快乳腺增生了。这个男的30。
This afternoon, I arranged a blind date for a man and a woman. Let me tell you, I was so angry I nearly gave myself breast hyperplasia. The man, 33 years old, a manager in a private company department, owns both car and house, earns an annual salary of 100,000 yuan, about 14,000 USD. The woman, 32 years old, works as an auditor, earns an annual salary of 150,000 yuan, about 21,000 USD. Both conditions were not bad. They had already met once last month, felt it was acceptable, so today they agreed to meet again. But after the second date, they nearly fought on the spot. Later, both called me separately to complain. I've always said, when they contact me immediately after meeting, it's usually not good news. The woman started, and honestly, I almost spit out my food. She said the man was insincere, had a bad attitude. When I asked her what happened, she listed 4 offenses. First, the man knew they were meeting today, so why didn't he drive to pick her up? It was freezing, and she had to take a taxi. Second, on the second date, why didn't he create any romance or surprises for her? She felt he wasn't serious about wanting to be with her. Third, during the meal, he ordered all the dishes she didn't like. Fourth, and this really drove her mad, after the meal, he actually asked her to pay the bill. She said, "Am I short of money? It's not about the cost, but the food wasn't even to my taste. And you still want me to pay?" After listening, I almost had a stroke. Then the man called me to explain. He said, "I didn't know she wanted me to pick her up. I thought just setting a meeting point was enough. As for romance and surprises," he felt, "it's only the second meeting. No need to exaggerate." About the food, he said, "I asked her what she wanted to eat, but she was glued to her phone, didn't even give me a simple reply. After asking many times, all she said was 2 words. Whatever. About the bill, he explained. Originally, I didn't want her to pay, but throughout the whole meal, she was so cold and dismissive. I kept trying to make conversation, but she ignored me. In the end, I thought, if she doesn't even respect me, why should I treat her? Finally, he said angrily, "If you come to a blind date, why act so cold and arrogant? Do I owe you something? Don't put on such airs." Hearing that, the woman grabbed her bag and walked out. Afterward, I sent a message to my aunt's neighbor who introduced her. Honestly speaking, being 32 years old but still acting like she's 23, that really shows a lack of maturity. At Trent Plus, don't expect men to create constant romance and surprises. If you want romance, go abroad to some exotic place. At this age, blind dates are about suitable conditions and of the Sedivritin and Eniplater.com. If you can accept each other without disliking, that's the most reliable path. If you still expect men to chase after you passionately, To pamper you. That's daydreaming. A woman over 30 must learn to provide emotional value to others. Don't think too highly of yourself. If you want marriage, you need to learn to lower your stance. If the man's conditions are better than yours, be humble and tolerant. If his conditions are similar, then be understanding and accommodating. You're not a princess. If you keep putting on airs, I'll tell you the truth, you'll stay single for life. If you're still watching, comment 1 so I know you're still with me.
Hello， 37岁大龄剩女失业独居日常。
This is the daily routine of a 37-year-old so-called leftover woman, unemployed and living alone. She just woke up from sleep, feeling that her rest was not very good. Every night she only manages to fall asleep at around 2 or 3 in the morning, so in the morning she wakes up very late. At home she doesn't really cook properly. Today she decided to stew some lamb ribs. After all, her online tag has been labeled as food blogger. So whether there is something or not, she still has to film some cooking videos. Recently, the view counts on Douyin, Chinese TikTok, have not even reached the number of her followers. She does not know exactly at which stage the problem appeared. She started making short videos in September of this year. During the first 2 months, both fan growth and views were okay, but in the last 2 months, there has basically been no fan growth, and the view counts have been very poor. So she just sat down to drink some tea. Since it is raining outside, most likely she will not go out today. On a rainy day like this, sitting by the window, listening to the sound of rain outside, and letting the mind wander, is also a very comfortable feeling.
姑娘们，你们记住了，会过日子的男人呢，往
Girls, remember this. Men who know how to live a stable life often cannot give you too much romance. Men who can be romantic, in most cases, it is because they are not short of money. And men who are not short of money usually never lack women around them. So, do not fantasize about a man who can both live a frugal and practical life, and at the same time be extremely romantic. You must think clearly about what you want. Do not lose yourself in love.
我叫徐子琼，32岁，大龄未婚。
My name is Su Ziqiang. I am 32 years old and unmarried. Men should marry when grown, women should wed when grown. This is a never-ending topic among the older generation, and it has never gone out of date. The character, ja, to marry, for women. On the left side is the radical woman, and on the right side is the character home. Its meaning is that the man must give the woman a home, then she can be married off. But speaking of this so-called home, it sounds simple. Yet in reality, how many people can truly achieve it? 3 meals a day, without having to worry about rice, oil, or salt. Not having to struggle with house loans or rent. How many people can really do that?
男生越反常，女生越着迷。我就是
The more abnormal a man behaves, the more fascinated women become. In my eyes, the top-tier male gods usually have these traits: arrogant, selfish, independent, and strong. The way they look at women is exactly like the strong looking at the weak. Even if he is extremely handsome, when chatting, he still only talks about himself, showing himself off, and never bothering to ask about the other person. When eating, he always chooses the restaurant he likes, orders the dishes he wants, always satisfying himself first, before considering her. If you treat him as a follower, then he will stay with you. But if you put yourself in the position of being his follower, sooner or later he will lose interest and stop bringing you along.
今年的北漂就先到这里吧。大家好，我是
This year's Beipiao migrant drifting life in Beijing will come to an end here for now. Hello everyone, I am Fafa. At 4 o'clock in the morning, still in a daze, I dragged my luggage to catch the train. People often say, whether you have money or not, go home for the new year. Finally, I decided to put down all the pressure for now and return home for the new year. At 5:30 the morning, the subway was filled with people like me, all heading back to their hometowns. Since I woke up so early, I ate some small snacks to replenish energy. After more than an hour of bus and subway transfers, I finally arrived at the train station. After boarding, I found my seat, placed my luggage properly, and the train departed. Looking out the window at the beautiful scenery, after 3 hours, I had to transfer. I decided to nap for a while on the train. When the alarm rang, I got ready to get off. The transfer inside the station was quite convenient. The train entered Henan province, with endless green wheat fields stretching far into the horizon. After 7 hours of traveling, I finally arrived at my younger brother's house, returning home to enjoy time with family, and also sending early New Year greetings to everyone. Happy New Year!
你喜欢渣男还是老实人？男孩子就要坏一点嘛，坏一点比较喜欢。
Do you prefer bad boys or honest men? Boys should be a little bad. If they're a little bad, I like them more. What would you do if Shaolin, at 166 centimeter tall, suddenly won 10 million? If I won 10 million, the first thing I'd do is tell my parents. Yes, I'd tell my parents first, haha. Then, do you have any surprising contrast moments? On the outside, I might look hard to approach, but in private, I actually do like to talk. What's your type? I like Kai Sukun. He's excellent, tall, handsome, and he also has that kind of contrast in his personality. What would you do if someone suddenly pinned you against the wall, Kabaden? I would go crazy.
单身久了真的会有问题，尤其是女人。女人单身久了，看
Being single for too long really does cause problems, especially for women. When a woman stays single for too long, seeing men feels like she only notices the gender and nothing else. Whether he's good-looking or handsome, it all feels the same as looking at a passerby. No waves in the heart at all. Also, being single too long makes me feel I need more personal space. I start to resist physical contact with men. I still like beautiful things, but I no longer feel moved emotionally. It's too frightening. Am I already beyond saving?
怎样去判断一个女人适不适合结婚呢？
How can one judge whether a woman is suitable for marriage? Let me share some very down-to-earth, practical methods you can use directly. A glance, a gesture, a small emotional outburst, these can all become indicators for our judgment. I want to emphasize, the content below applies to both men and women. Our ultimate goal is to find someone reliable, someone we truly love, and then hold on to that person. That way, we can make the second stage of our lives as happy as possible. So, the focus should be on a person's inner qualities, not external conditions. External conditions can be used as a reference, but they should not be the decisive factor. Unfortunately, many people think the opposite. They see external conditions as decisive, while inner qualities are only secondary or even unnecessary. This is a mistake that everyone should pay attention to. What do we mean by inner qualities? They are traits you can observe after spending some time together. By paying attention to details, you can infer whether the person is reliable. Below are 9 qualities. If even one of them shows up in a potential partner, it's not advisable to pursue a romantic relationship or marriage with them. These problems are very hard for ordinary people to change, like the saying goes, mountains and rivers may shift, but a person's nature is hard to change. Yet, these flaws will bring huge emotional risks to a couple's future life. After being together for a long time, most partners only have 2 choices: endure it or leave. At best, such people can only be ordinary friends, but once you move toward romance or marriage, if these traits are present, it's better to avoid them altogether. 1. Low tolerance? Quick temper? When something displeases them, they show it immediately on their face. They have very little patience for others. If their rights are violated, they retaliate instantly, never allowing themselves to lose out. These people cannot contain their emotions, lack a buffer mechanism, and have bad tempers. Whether you upset them intentionally or not, they might lash out without even asking for an explanation. For example, when I posted videos about bride price traditions, some people got angry over just one sentence that didn't match their views. Instead of watching the full video to understand the point, they fixated on one line and attacked me in the comments, turning the discussion into pointless arguments. These people are often called keyboard warriors or professional arguers. Living with such people means constant quarrels and tension. That's why the #1 rule in finding a partner is, they must have a good temper. 2. Emotionally unstable people. They are like black holes of negative energy, always anxious, depressed, and resistant to advice. Whoever stays with them will be dragged into their whirlpool of negativity. At first, friends might try to help them, but over time they realize not only does the person not improve, but they themselves start feeling worse. Such people can only be saved by themselves, no one else. 3. Materialistic, vain, and competitive people. These people only care about profit and status. They don't understand true love. If they give you something, they demand something back immediately. If not, they will argue, I did this for you. Why can't you do that for me? Other people's husbands or wives do it. Why can't you? Marriages with such people easily fall into endless quarrels. 4. People who play around too much. They are smart, know their advantages well, and love to flirt. They deliberately use their charm to win favor from many people at once. If during your ambiguous stage, you discover that they are maintaining similar ambiguous relationships with others, then you already know they are this type of person. 5. Chronic complainers. They blame all their misfortune on others. I live poorly because my husband is useless, my boyfriend is terrible, my parents wronged me, my exes were all jerks. They believe the whole world owes them. If you encounter this type, the best choice is to stay far away. 6. People who refuse communication. Even if you try to talk, you'll find communication impossible. Your words get twisted into another meaning, they sulk, and they refuse to talk it out. Even if you carefully explain things step by step, they still don't understand. Worse, they expect you to adapt to their immature ways. Living with them feels like two sharp objects constantly clashing, never harmony, only pain. The wisest choice is to end the relationship early. 7. People who cannot take care of themselves. They stay up late, eat recklessly, and ruin their health, expecting their partner to pamper them like a child. If they don't even realize this is a problem, then you must prepare yourself. After marriage, they will never be a reliable life partner. White, insincere, dishonest people. For them, lying comes naturally. At first, it's hard to notice, but over time, lies pile up and contradictions appear. If in a relationship you cannot even be truthful and open-hearted, then what is the point of calling it love? 9. Pushy people with no respect for boundaries. They pry into everything, question every little thing, and constantly test you. At the core, they lack a sense of security and want to control you completely. But if you want a healthy, happy relationship, such people are not suitable. In short, if a potential partner shows even one of these 9 traits, they are not suitable for romance or marriage, no matter how good-looking they are. At best, they can remain ordinary friends. These details can only be discovered after some time together. Once you notice them, don't pretend not to see. Communicate clearly. If, after repeated conversations, they refuse to change, then you have every reason to end the relationship. Because once you get married, it's too late. These issues won't disappear instead, they'll magnify until you can no longer breathe. Then you'll face only 2 options: enduring endless suffering or divorce. In truth, these are simply the basic qualities that a mentally and emotionally mature adult should have. If you marry someone who is, in reality, emotionally immature, it is deeply irresponsible not only toward yourself but toward your entire life. In today's China, we see more and more stories like this one. According to official statistics, the divorce rate in China has risen to nearly 40% in some major cities, while the marriage rate has dropped year after year. This shows a deep social transformation, yet it also reminds us of the importance of family, respect, and traditional values that once held society together. China Social Trends believes that while modernization brings many changes, it is crucial to remember the roots of family bonds and moral responsibility. Without these, no matter how much wealth or status we gain, happiness may still slip away. Only by valuing harmony, gratitude, and commitment can society find stability again. And in this fast-changing world, returning to these timeless principles is more urgent than ever. China Social Trends calls on all of us to reflect. Do we still value the essence of family and tradition as much as we should? What do you think? Should marriage be based more on love or on financial security? Which one truly sustains a lifelong relationship? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your perspective. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video to keep the discussion going. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.